Welcome to Captain English, the podcast that helps you navigate your way to true English fluency. I'm your host, Paul, and I'm super excited to be here with my brilliant co-host today.
And I'm Alice. It's great to be back, Paul. We've got a really important topic today, one that I think a lot of our listeners, and honestly a lot of English learners in general, might find themselves struggling with or misunderstanding.
Absolutely, Alice. Today, we're tackling a concept that, once you really understand it, can completely change your English learning journey. We're talking about why English fluency is not just about knowledge, it's about execution. You know, it's not enough to just know the rules, you have to do the language.
That's such a crucial point, Paul. I've met so many people who can explain complex grammar rules perfectly. They know all the tenses, they have a huge vocabulary, but when it comes to having a simple conversation, they freeze up, they hesitate, they struggle to put sentences together, or they just can't find the words quickly enough.
Exactly. It's like knowing all the theory of how to ride a bicycle. You could read books about bike gears, balance, pedaling technique, even the physics of turning. You might even ace a written test on bicycle riding. But until you actually get on that bike and start pedaling, falling, and getting back up, you're not going to be able to ride it, are you?
No way! And imagine if someone told you, oh, just study more books on bicycle riding, and one day you'll magically be able to ride. It sounds ridiculous, right? But that's exactly what many English learners are told, or what they tell themselves about language.
It really is. So let's break this down. When we talk about knowledge in English learning, what do we usually mean? Well, we mean things like grammar rules, knowing when to use has versus have, or understanding the difference between the past simple and the present perfect. It's also about vocabulary, knowing the meaning of hundreds, even thousands of words. It's about sentence structure, pronunciation rules, all the theoretical building blocks.
Right, and all of that is important. We're not saying knowledge isn't necessary. It absolutely is. You need those building blocks. But it's only one part of the puzzle. The problem arises when people think that acquiring more and more knowledge will automatically translate into fluency. They just keep adding more bricks to their knowledge pile without ever actually building anything with them.
Precisely. And that's where execution comes in. Execution means actively using the language. It's taking all that grammar and vocabulary you've learned and putting it into practice in real time. This means speaking, listening, writing, and even thinking in English. It's the doing part. It's the actual cycling, not just reading the manual.
Think about it like learning to play a musical instrument, say the guitar. You can read all the music theory books, learn about chords, scales, rhythm, even memorize songs. That's your knowledge. But until you pick up that guitar, put your fingers on the frets, strum the strings, and actually try to play a song, you're not a guitar player, you're a guitar theorist.
A guitar theorist. I love that, Alice. And the same applies to English. You might be an English theorist, but to become an English speaker, you need to execute. This means making mistakes, getting tongue-tied, feeling awkward, but pushing through it. Because every time you try, you're not just practicing, you're building muscle memory for your brain and your mouth.
That's a fantastic way to put it, muscle memory. Our brains are incredible. They learn by doing. When you speak English, your brain is quickly accessing vocabulary, applying grammar rules, structuring sentences, and even coordinating your mouth and tongue muscles, all in milliseconds. This is a complex process, and it doesn't get better by just thinking about it or reading about it.
Right. It gets better by repetition, by trying, by failing, and by trying again. So, what are some practical ways our listeners can shift from being knowledge collectors to executors?
Oh, there are so many ways! The first and most obvious one is to speak. Speak as much as you can, whenever you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be with a native speaker. It can be talking to yourself in the mirror, recording your voice, or even just narrating your day as you go about it.
I love that idea of narrating your day. It's like a running commentary. For instance, as you're making coffee, instead of just thinking, I need to make coffee, you articulate it. Okay, I'm going to put the water in the kettle, then I'll turn on the stove, and soon I'll have a hot cup of coffee. Simple sentences, but you're actively engaging your brain and mouth in English.
Exactly. And don't worry about sounding silly. No one's listening. This practice helps you retrieve words faster and build those sentence structures naturally. Another great execution strategy is active listening. It's not just about hearing the words, but trying to understand the context, the tone, and how sentences are formed. Listening to podcasts like this one, watching movies or TV shows, or even listening to English music, but with an active mindset, not just passive enjoyment.
That's a key distinction, Alice. Active versus passive. Passive listening is like background noise. Active listening is really focusing. You might even try to repeat sentences you hear, or pause and summarize what you just heard. That's called shadowing, and it's incredibly powerful for improving pronunciation and rhythm. You're executing by imitating.
Shadowing is brilliant, and it connects to something else. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. This is probably the biggest barrier to execution for many learners. They're so worried about saying something incorrectly that they say nothing at all. But mistakes are part of the learning process. They're feedback. They show you where you need to improve, and they're how you refine your execution.
It's like that famous quote, "I haven't failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Every mistake is a step closer to getting it right. And honestly, most native speakers are much more impressed by someone who tries to speak their language, even with errors, than someone who stays silent out of fear.
So true. Another execution technique is to find opportunities to use English in your daily life. Can you switch your phone's language to English? Can you read news articles or social media in English? Can you find an online language exchange partner? Even small interactions add up to massive execution practice.
Absolutely. It's about creating an English environment for yourself, even if you're not in an English-speaking country. And for those who are really looking to push their execution, journaling in English can be incredibly helpful. You're not speaking, but you're actively forming thoughts and sentences in English, which is a huge step for fluency.
Yes, writing is a great way to bridge the gap. It allows you to slow down a little compared to speaking, giving your brain more time to process and construct sentences. But it's still active execution. You're building, not just absorbing. And remember, consistency is key. Short, regular bursts of execution are far more effective than long, infrequent study sessions.
That's a really important point, Alice. 15 minutes of active speaking practice every day will yield much better results than 2 hours of grammar review once a week. Because those 15 minutes are active execution, building those connections in your brain, rather than just passively absorbing more information.
Exactly. So, how about we give our listeners a challenge? For the next week, we want you to pick one execution activity and commit to doing it for at least 10-15 minutes every single day. Whether it's narrating your day, shadowing a podcast, or even just sending a few text messages in English to a friend, just pick one and do it.
That's a fantastic challenge, Alice, and we'd love to hear how it goes. You can even leave us a comment on our social media channels or wherever you listen to Captain English. Speaking of which, if you're enjoying what you're hearing and you want more practical advice like this to boost your English, please remember to hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out and ensures you won't miss any future episodes.
Yes, please subscribe. It makes a huge difference. And back to the topic, another aspect of execution is embracing imperfection. Fluency isn't about being perfect. It's about being able to communicate effectively. It's about getting your message across, even if you make a grammatical error or use a word that isn't exactly right. The goal is connection, not perfection.
Such a vital mindset shift, Alice. Many learners strive for an unattainable level of perfection, which paralyzes them. But if you focus on communicating, you'll find that your ability to execute will naturally improve over time, and the perfection will follow, little by little, organically.
Think of it this way. A baby doesn't learn its first language by studying grammar books. A baby learns by listening, imitating, trying to communicate its needs, and making countless mistakes. They are pure executors. They just try, and eventually they become fluent. We need to recapture some of that fearless, just-do-it attitude.
That's such a beautiful analogy, the baby learning. It really puts things into perspective. We already know how to learn a language. We did it as children. It's just about applying that same fearless execution to English. So, to recap for our listeners, remember, knowledge is the fuel, but execution is the engine. You can have all the fuel in the world, but if you never turn on the engine, you're not going anywhere.
Exactly. Start executing today. Don't wait until you know enough grammar or enough vocabulary. You already know enough to start using it. Start small, be consistent, embrace your mistakes, and focus on communication. You'll be amazed at how quickly your fluency grows.
That's a fantastic note to end on, Alice. Thank you so much for sharing your insights today. And thank you to all our listeners for tuning in to Captain English. We hope this episode has given you a fresh perspective and some actionable steps to take on your journey to English fluency. Remember, your journey is unique, but the path to fluency is always paved with consistent execution.
Keep practicing, keep speaking, and we'll catch you next time on Captain English. Bye for now.
Goodbye, everyone.